What is up, everyone? This is Eagles Postgame Live. Eagles get a statement win against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 27-13. We're talking reaction. We're talking players of the game. Eagles game in 3 words or less. Guys, if you're new to Eagles Pinpool, please be sure to smash that subscribe button. Check us out on X at Eagles Pinpool. Joining us, he is Shane Haff at Shane Haff NFL. What's going on, Shane?
What's up, Dibes? I feel like I've been in front of this screen behind a microphone for a long time, but excited to hang out and celebrate another Eagles victory here.
Also joining us, the man, the myth, the legend. You know him on X at PHL Eagle News, one of the best Eagles follows there is. What is going on, David?
Hey, man, I'm just happy we're celebrating another win, and it silenced a whole lot of critics, but I'm sure we're about to get into that.
Absolutely, man. People wanted to see what the Eagles offense would look like against a great defense without your dominant run game. Here it is. The Eagles had 8 plays of 20-plus yards today. The Steelers had the ball for 5 minutes and 50 seconds in the second half, scoring 0 points. The Eagles' run defense was elite, still has yet to allow a single 100-yard rusher all season. The Steelers' leading rusher had 14 freaking yards. The Eagles got the ball, with like 10:40 remaining, never gave it back. Grown-ass man football right there, especially in that second half, man. I'll throw it to you, Shane. Quick reaction for what you just saw.
This is the best defense the Eagles have played this year, and they really stifled the Eagles' rushing attack, and it just didn't matter. I wish Hurts got 10 more yards so we could say the 300-yard game, but the pass game was firing on all cylinders today, and they did it right out of the gate, like moving down the field. Ultimately, they only ended up with a field goal because they're cursed to never score a touchdown on the opening drive, but it was nice to see them in rhythm early. It was nice to see the pass game just looked a lot better in terms of design, and some of the things they were doing I thought were really cool. So encouraging performance by the offense to look that good against such a good defense when the run game just wasn't clicking today.
Yep. What about you, David? Quick reaction before we get into the offense.
The Eagles' defense just smothers everybody, man. I mean, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. They smother everyone. They kill the clock. They can beat you with his arm. They can beat you on the ground. And if you get the ball, give them the ball with 10 minutes left, they will suffocate that out too. They took the time off the clock. I think the TOP was 40-20, right? I mean, they just dominated in literally every facet of this game.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the first half, if you like take away those 2 giveaways, I mean, top to bottom, this Eagles team really dominated. A really quality football team, man, especially when Saquon wasn't himself in this one. They were stacking a lot in the box, and we really kind of saw the return of Jalen Hurts. Especially with the quick passes, man. 25 of 32, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had a brotherly shove there in the second half. I thought his decision-making was phenomenal in this one. It wasn't perfect. Kellen Moore's play calling wasn't perfect. In fact, I was a little upset at the end of this game. Like, why are our players still in this one? And everyone was kind of falling and getting hurt. But I'll throw it to you, Shane. What were your thoughts on Jalen Hurts' performance?
Yeah, I thought he started and ended really well. There was a brief moment near the end of the second quarter when I thought he started to get a little skittish in the pocket, scrambled into a couple sacks. There was a play I thought he missed Jahan Dotson and scrambled into a sack. And, there was a little bit of an ebb and flow, but he bounced right back in the second half. So it was nice to see him start a game good. I thought he played really well. He ends up with 0.35 EPA per play, a 13.6% completion percentage over expectation. He was throwing the ball well. He made a few good runs. He was fantastic against the blitz. Blitzed 11 times, 8 of 11 for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. So making him pay against the blitz. I thought it was a really good game by Jalen Hurts.
I agree, man. The last 3 possessions, main possessions for the Eagles, 10 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. I thought that one possession from Jalen Hurts where you saw a lot of quick throws, You saw a lot of very good decision making. I think he had like at least 6 of those, like 3 of 6 yards. And that's the stuff. That's the quick and decisive Jalen Hurts, reminiscent of his 2022 play. Time is not that great for Jalen Hurts. What were your thoughts, David? Quick thoughts overall on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, they utilized a lot early and late, kind of like what Shane said. They had slants, curls, they were in the pistol, RPOs. Everything was working early. And again, in the fourth quarter, they started the game with a pass to Calcaterra. I think it was like 20 some yards, then a slant to AJ for 7, then a third pass in a row to Devontae for 21 yards. I think he started off 8 of 8 and 12 of 13. Is that what he did? 8 of 8. I mean, it was an unbelievable start. And for everybody who thought that he would struggle in a game that they would have to rely on his arm, I think you might want to rethink that now. They just have not been game planning that. And I know we've discussed that on the other show on Birds of the Round Table. This game plan was significantly deeper, as I'm sure Shane will get into this week when he does the all 22 with Johnny. But this was a significantly different game plan.
It was awesome, man, from the jump. You look at, I mean, we've been killing the scripted plays from the Eagles in the first half. You look at the first possession, they had the middle of the field shot to Grant Calcaterra for 22 yards. You had a quick slant to A.J. Brown, a quick crosser to Devontae for 21 yards. And we didn't just see curls and 4 verts. It was a quick pass kind of game from the beginning to the end. That second possession, you had a Barkley run for 8 yards. Third possession, a 15-yard quick pass to A.J. Brown. Man, it was nice to see. I think they had 10 points in the first quarter. This was huge against a quality football team. Let's go to any other thoughts on Jalen Hurts before we get to the next part?
His finger didn't seem to bother him at all.
Yeah, they talked about that quite a bit. I mean, he seemed fine. All right, let's get to the Eagles run game here. Saquon had 19 carries for 65 yards. Jalen Hurts 15 for 45 and a touchdown. But I thought kind of the star of the game was Kenny freaking Gainwell. And then I'm going to say this. I don't really care about awards. We know about Saquon Barkley's past injury history. He's racked up a ton of yards. He's on a historic pace. I haven't been a fan of Kenny Gainwell in the past, but the fact of the matter is he's improved a hell of a lot this season. I would like to see more carries out of Kenny Gainwell to finish out this season. David, let's start with you. Quick thoughts on the Eagles' rushing attack.
Yeah, I mean, on a day that Saquon struggled and the Eagles as a whole kind of struggled a little bit in the running game, they still ended up with 131 yards and they still dominated what Pittsburgh did. And it's just incredible. And Gainwell, he had a couple of just amazing spin moves there. I was so hoping we'd get to see a touchdown out of one of those, but he has been really good. He's a key member of their 2-minute drill. I think they mentioned that during the broadcast. It's been incredible to watch his maturation this year and him taking his role on. He gets his little 5 to 7 carries. He gets 20 to 30 some yards. But every time you watch the game, it seems like he's done something very well. He's made an impact. One of those runs is always important. So he's been a great addition this year and coming into relief for Saquon.
What about you, Shane?
Yeah, he had a really good game today. The most impressive one to me was the play that Lane Johnson came off the field and Fred Johnson is on. And I think it was like 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12 or something like that. And they just flared it out real quick to Gainwell. I mean, it was a give-up play, and he makes 2 guys miss and picked up a first down. So it's a good game by Gainwell. It was not a good game for the rushing attack as a whole. And I mean, Saquon Barkley, 30% success rate on the ground. Kenny Gainwell, 29% success rate on the ground. The run game wasn't clicking. And, it's just nice that the pass game could pick up the slack. And I was told online and by national media that the Eagles don't have a passing game. But, rest in peace to those takes.
Yeah, the fact that Saquon Barkley had 65 yards on the ground in this one, and you still put up nearly 30 points against this defense says a lot, man. It was a very impressive performance from the offense. Some comments. Jalen had a perfect passer rating in the first half. My man, Pump Man, says, good game, but need to see it again before I crown it. Oh man, Philly looked great without Saquon. That's it. That's it. Gainwell takes the ball inside the 5-yard line twice and no touchdowns. We had a lot of comments about our man Ryan Reese. He is at the game. He's our known, I guess our resident Kenny Gainwell hater. So a lot of people are asking for where he's at. Jalen Hurts now has the longest win streak in franchise history. And then didn't you guys hear Jalen can't pass over the middle and literally started the game with a nice pass to Grand Calcaterra up the middle of the field. Do these announcers even prepare for the games? How are they surprised that King wasn't in the game in 2-minute situations? Krabby says Ryan's never around when you need him. All right, let's get to the Eagles wide receivers. The game, AJ and Jalen got their swag back. AJ Brown, 8 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. Devontae was awesome in this one, especially recovering that one fumble by AJ Brown. Isn't that can I go off on a tangent just really quick? Because AJ Brown got hurt at the very end of this game. I thought you can't drag down guys like that anymore. I thought they banned that. Did. What didn't that happened twice today, and there's no freaking flag. Meanwhile, Devontae's like doing the Houdini and gets penalized.
There has not been a flag for a hip drop tackle in the regular season this year. It was the big point of the offseason. We're going to ban that, and they haven't thrown a single flag for it this year. And I was talking about this on our live stream during the game, but I generally don't like that rule because it's so hard to legislate that. And like, these are bang, bang plays happening in a game. And how are you supposed to bring a guy down from behind? And it can happen in a dirty way. For the most part, I think you just have to let those go. But that said, that was the textbook example of a hip drop tackle. It had every element. He grabs around the waist. He leaves the ground. He pivots around behind. He traps the leg. It had all 4 elements of the hip drop tackle. It should have been flagged if they're ever going to flag one.
Yeah.
He'll definitely be fined this week.
Yeah. Cameron saying, it was a hip drop tackle. 847 illegal man downfield calls. You can't. They just didn't call it. They're doing more of a fine thing instead of throwing flags. How else are you going to bring down AJ Brown? David, any thoughts on the receivers?
They were great. I mean, Devontae's kind of become an outlet for when anything isn't going on down the field. He seems to be running a lot of intermediate, shorter routes. I guess his yards per catch will probably state that. I don't know what it was, 8 or 9, 10 yards, something like that. But I mean, he caught almost everything thrown his way. What was he, 11 of 12 targets there? I mean, he was unbelievable. And when you need an extra yard, he might be skinny Batman, but he puts his shoulder down and his head down, and he fights for that extra yard every single time, man. That guy is a stud.
And he low-key is so good at like protecting football. Like every time he kind of went into traffic. Like I love the way he just wraps that football. Shane, any thoughts on the receivers?
I love that AJ Brown. Jalen Hurts' agent just tweeted, "Are y'all good now?" I love that. Love that. I mean, the receivers, they were awesome. Joey Porter Jr. had a few good reps against AJ Brown, but on the whole, AJ Brown dominated him. And, great game by both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You would like to see a little more from somebody that's not them, maybe, but if you're going to put up 290 yards passing, I don't care how you do it, I guess, but you'd like to see Jahan Dotson or Johnny Wilson be able to pull in a catch, or Grant Calcaterra ran that nice stick nod route on the first drive, and he never had another target, I don't think, but it was a really good performance through the passing game. So I'm not going to complain about that, but I would like to see a third receiver kind of kick in. Not that I think there's a team that can shut down AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and stop the run game, but I guess in a universe where that happens, it'd be nice to have a third punch.
Yeah. Lions are not ready for big games. Josh Allen going off is not good for the Saquon Barkley people who want him to win MVP.
Saquon's not winning MVP. They're not going to ever give that award to a non-quarterback again.
All right, let's roll on to the Eagles defense. I'm just going to repeat what I said during the halftime show. I think this is arguably, if not the best game we saw from Nolan Smith Jr. 4 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. I'm excited. I don't know how many pressures he had.
He had 4.
That was it. I feel like you could easily double that. Really impressed by Nolan Smith Jr. David, what was your quick reaction to the defense?
Yeah, they were great. They had 3 tip balls, which is a underreported like advantage that they had in this game. Russell Wilson struggles with that a little bit, like Jalen Hurts has in his career, and they took advantage of it. And Nolan Smith, like you said, he not only did he have sacks, but they came at an important time. Like he had that huge sack with less than a minute in the first half that stopped the drive and forced Pittsburgh into a long, like 49-yard field goal. He got that hand up to redirect that pass on the tip on a 3rd down, resulting in another 3 and out. And I think that they forced 4 3 and outs to start the game, even though one of them ended up being a field goal because they fumbled it, in the red zone there. But I believe they forced 4 3 and outs there. And that was overcoming 2 fumbles by the Eagles on their side of the field. I mean, a year ago, this game's out of hand if that happens. This defense, you can lean on them. And when people kept complaining about the Eagles' strategy in games, this is why. They give up 13 points. They give up 15 points. If you can score 20 points, you're going to win 99% of these football games. So there just isn't any reason to put the ball in harm's way. But it was nice to see that when it did happen, after a 9-week run of really winning the turnover battle week in and week out, that they're able to overcome that too.
Yeah, I thought Zach Bond had another very good game. I mean, you look at
Dean as well.
But Zach Bond, like there was one play, especially in the first half, where it was a 3rd and long and it was an open field tackle from Zach Bond. I think it was a running back and tried to get out from Zach Bond's grasp, and he couldn't do it. Like, man, it's been years since we've seen an Eagles linebacker like who doesn't routinely blow tackles like the one Bond made in that situation, and just grabbed him like he was grabbing a wildebeest. It was awesome, like the crocodile hunter. What about you, Shane? What was your thoughts on the defense?
Yeah, I mean, the defense gave up 163 yards. The defense gave up 10 first downs, and 6 of them were on one drive that started off with a ridiculous penalty called on Reed Blankenship. So
that was terrible.
Yeah, so the defense was incredible. Now, it's worth pointing out that the Steelers rely on George Pickens to generate an explosive passing game, and George Pickens was out. It's also worth pointing out the Eagles don't give up explosive passing plays to anybody. So it's a really good performance by the defense. I thought they were dominant in this game. We mentioned the fumbles and stuff early, but this game could have swung radically early on as the Eagles had, the fumble on the Jalen Hurts fumble, and then the defense gets 3 and out. And then you have the punt fumble, and the defense backs them up 8 yards and holds them to a field goal. And like, this game could have been radically different early. You could have been looking at a 14-3 deficit because of some fumbles. The defense balled out, and they deserve a lot of props for that. It's so much fun having an elite defense. The Eagles defense is the best defense in the NFL right now. They're playing at the best level consistently. Doesn't matter what metric you want to use to look at their top 5 in it, in all of them. And so, it's a dominant defense, and hopefully, we can keep everybody healthy and get to the playoffs. And I think that defense is what's going to give the Eagles the edge in the playoffs. I mean, you look at the Lions, they just gave up 48 points, I think it was, to the Bills. Eagles aren't giving up 48 points to the Bills. It's just not going to happen. Like, there's not a team that's going to do that to the Eagles, I don't think. And that's what's going to give the Eagles the big edge. So shout out to the defense. I would also like to give a shout out to Mike Tomlin for making the decision to punt the ball on 4th and 7 while down 2 touchdowns with 10 minutes left in a game against a team where their last 2 possessions each took 7 minutes off the clock. Just brilliant move there by Mike Tomlin. So shout out to that. You're muted, Dibes.
My bad. Texting, check Carter's P after the game. We kind of had our Jalen Carter moment. First one in a while, where he kind of like punched that guy in the face.
That was
that
stupid.
that was stupid.
Which, by the way,
we haven't gotten a lot of those. That was
defense so dominant today. Jalen Carter was not impactful. He had 0 pressures in the game. Like, he had a nice play or two in run defense. He made no impact in the game. It was other guys stepping up, and that's great to see too.
Yeah, they were really gang tackling. How many missed tackles did this defense have?
4. 2 for Bond, 1 for CJ GJ, and 1 for Milton Williams.
Okay. I thought they were just swarming in big plays. Jack says we have a defense we can actually count on. Feels good to be an Eagles fan right now. Good to have good vibes back again. Not sure what WIP is going to be able to talk about this week. We'll see how that goes. Steelers having only 2 second half possessions is nuts. Time of possession, the Steelers had the ball for like 5 minutes in the second half. That's insane. It's just insane. Anyway, let's get to player of the game. Shane, who is your player of the game?
Yeah, before we do that, the Steelers ran 10 plays in the second half. The Steelers had 10 offensive plays in the second half. That's insane. So that's
2022 football, man. That's the Eagles right there.
Yeah. Player of the game, I will give my player of the game to Jalen Hurts. I mean, nice. 25 of 32, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushes for 45 yards and a touchdown. He has the fumble, but in a game where the run game didn't help him out at all, Jalen dissected one of the top defenses in the league. So my player of the game goes to Jalen Hurts.
Such a statement for him, given all the BS that was going on all week long. What about you, David? Who's your player of the game?
I feel like after such a dominant defensive performance, I gotta find somebody on the defense to give it to. I think I'm going to go with Josh Sweat. Nice. He's been unheralded through most of the year. He's been the one consistent edge rusher who's been there all year. He had a couple tackles today, but I know he had a sack. He had a TFL. And again, much like the one Nolan did, it's an impactful sack. It's changing downs. It's causing, change of possessions. And I think he's been quietly a really good player all season.
Yeah, that's a really good one. There was such a good game, like all the way around. I'm struggling to pick just one. I like the heart that we saw in this one. First and foremost, let me go AJ Brown. I'm just gonna take the layup and say I could go Kenny Gainwell and kind of be a little wild, but give me AJ Brown for piggybacking off of what Shane said. AJ Brown, just unstoppable. He's just unstoppable, especially on those one-on-ones. The Steelers were stacking a lot in the box, trying to take out Saquon Barkley. It still didn't matter, but the Eagles really made a concerted effort into the passing attack this week compared to previous weeks. Look at that. Like Jalen Hurts had 32 attempts in this one. And even late in the game, they were still going with the pass. But A.J. Brown, one last time, 8 catches for 110 yards. And that's the secret sauce, man. He is so important to this offense, being that explosive offense we want it to be. I mean, they had, again, 8 plays of 20-plus yards on offense. But I feel like how many times did they actually go deep down the field? Like, what was Jalen Hurts' average depth of target? It wasn't a lot, I feel like.
It was 6.7 yards.
Yeah, so a lot of quick hitters and, getting our guys in space. A.J. Brown is low-key amazing in space. He's just impossible to bring down. So I'll go A.J. and just take the layup. All right. Where do we go next? Let's go to – are we at 3 words or less, Shane?
Yeah, we can go 3 words or less. Let me share my screen.
Whoops, sorry, man.
Oh.
I got you. Ah!
Okay. No, you're good. All right. So every week we tweet out our 3-word reactions from the Eagles Pin Pull Twitter account. I always quote or retweet it as well, but Eagles Pin Pull on Twitter. And this week, not as many reactions. We got 17 of them. A lot of them people submitting duplicates. Put them all in there. I'll pick my favorite one, but you guys can also drop them here in the YouTube chat as well. But we've got Johnny gives us a Jalen silences doubters. Ryan said time of possession, which was crazy in this game. Max gave us a suffocating final drive. Elliot said stay healthy, please. Down 3R20 said friends with winning. And then we had a Stoutland U backups from Dan Jones. And the Eagles certainly had to go to their backups a lot more than you would have liked in this game. But hopefully nobody's seriously injured. I think the Eagles probably escaped serious injury in this game. So great 3 words there. My 3-word reaction, I'm going to go with dominant defensive performance for the reasons we already talked about. This game could have gotten away from the Eagles early with some of the miscues, and the defense just continued to shut down the Steelers offense. So dominating defensive performance for me.
All right. Brett Eclipse says still can't pass, ? No more MVP. NFL on watch. Happy now, AJ. Cameron says Kenny freaking Gainwell. Best friends forever. Jalen for MVP. Keep them coming, guys. We'll show them on screen. What about you, David? What's your 3 words or less?
No drama here. That was the talk all week, all their problems. They have internal problems. People don't like Jalen. Jalen doesn't like AJ. Skip Bayless was on his show saying that something really horrific between them happened last year that he won't go into. It's all for nothing. They're clearly fine. Everything else is fine. The game plan has been the issue. They just have played a different brand of football. But as soon as they needed his arm again, it was there. He threw for more in this game than he did against Carolina and Baltimore combined. I mean, when they need it, it's there to have. It's, I don't know why anybody ever thought that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were going to struggle if they needed them, but it's there. This is a drama-free zone, and this was a very good step forward going into the playoffs.
Yeah. That's a really good one. Let's go to some more comments. 1 seed, behold. Time of possession. Finally beat Russ. Wow, Alex, that was actually in my head. I was thinking about that. Good vibes only. We're not going to go there. That's funny. Inspiring confidence. I mean, this Eagles team, despite winning last week, it happens to all the good teams. They struggle. And it was pretty much 90% negativity in Philadelphia for a team that's got a great chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFL or the NFC, and didn't feel close. Even though the Eagles won by 2 scores, I mean, if Jalen Hurts doesn't fumble that ball in the first half, at no point in the first half did the game feel close as it was. And even still, that 2-score win margin for the Eagles doesn't do it justice. I feel like we dominated them from start to finish. So I'll go didn't feel close and inspiring confidence. That is about it, guys. I'll throw it to you, Shane. Final thoughts on this win. Plugs, time is yours.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles just continue to win, and they do it in dominating fashion. And it's just incredible. I'm still blown away that the Steelers only had 10 or 11 plays in the whole second half on offense. Like, how do you get in a rhythm like that? You just can't. So shout out to the Eagles. The Lions lose today to the Bills. They're still going to need one more loss with the Eagles winning out. And it's possible. They still have the Vikings on the schedule. So the 1 seed is still a possibility for the Eagles. But to me, the biggest thing is hopefully none of the injuries sustained are serious. I look forward to hearing certain national media members, cough, Chase Daniel, Emmanuel Acho, stop talking about the Eagles this week. Hoping for them to actually give objective analysis and talk about what went well for the Eagles, that's probably too much to hope for. So hopefully they'll just shut up this week, and we can not have to deal with all that stuff again. But shout out to everybody for joining in for the live watch party Mark and I did. Shout out to you guys here on the post-game show. Be sure you are subscribed to the Eagles Pinpool Network, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll have a lot of stuff coming out your way this week again.
Awesome. Jack says, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got a lot of people in the house watching, man. Please be sure to help us out. Hit that like button. David, final thoughts?
Two things. The penalty that Jalen Carter had, the 15-yard penalty, was on the punt. I didn't even know he was on the field during those. Like I was more shocked that he was on the field during the punt return team than I was anything else. And secondly, Quinion attacking a man 100 pounds bigger than him, standing up for Slay. That was a pretty wild moment on the sidelines there. I mean, he ended up getting clocked, from the side, not even knowing it was coming there. But it was pretty impressive to see him jump up the way he did to try to defend a teammate there. So you can just see that the bonds are growing. That's things that don't happen on teams that don't care about one another and that have internal drama.
Yep. Anything you want to plug, dude?
No, you can follow everything I do at just PHL Eagle News at my handle there. I'll have a piece tomorrow out, just an observation piece and a preview piece later in the week. And I'm also writing about Santa later this week. So check that one out. Santa in Philadelphia. It's a real, the Philadelphia love story. It's not bad. It's changing the narrative. It's correcting the narrative, actually.
Sloth chimes in. Do you know how the Eagles stand with the Lions loss? So the Eagles need to win out, and I think the Lions need to lose one more.
Yeah, they're tied right now, but the Lions would have the tiebreaker because down the list of tiebreakers, it goes to conference opponents, and the Eagles lost to 2 NFC teams. The Lions lost to 1 AFC team, 1 NFC team. So the Eagles will still need help from the Lions, but it is possible, and I can give you the Lions' remaining schedule here in just a second.
I think they have the Vikings the last week of the season.
They do, yes.
That's a big one. For the Vikings, for the Eagles, that could be really interesting.
So they go at Chicago, at San Francisco versus Minnesota. And that Minnesota game will be a short week because week 17 at San Francisco is on Monday Night Football. So they will be coming back from the West Coast on a short week for that one.
All right.
And people watching the Saquon Barkley's attempt to get the all-time single-season rushing record, that could keep him in play for that week to keep running as well.
Yep. Don't the Vikings have the Eagles? I don't know. Do the Vikings have the Eagles tiebreaker?
Let's see.
I don't know that either.
We're getting some.
I think he's right. I think they both.
I can figure that out while you're doing your plugs and stuff, and I'll let you know.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Almost 1,000 people here watching. Please be sure you check out Eagles Pinpool on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. Tons of Eagles content every day. Birds of the Round Table with David, Shane, and myself. Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock, we'll be breaking down this one as well as looking ahead to the following week. But Kelly Green Hour, Chalk Talk, you go on and on and on. All the great Eagles shows. That's Monday through Sunday. So he is Shane Happ, NFL. Shane, did you figure it out?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Vikings also need to lose. So
Okay.
The Vikings have the Seahawks they go the Bears tonight, and then they go at Seattle versus Green Bay at Detroit. So the Vikings would need to lose one of their next 3 and then beat the Lions, and the Eagles would get the 1 seed.
It's possible, man.
It is possible.
All right. He is Shane Happ at Shane Happ NFL. That's David at PHL Eagle News. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Stay awesome, everyone.